My name is Graham Novak, and this is Mezzanine Labs. We are building an operating system so that companies can run entirely on chain. Companies can now manage everything from fundraising to board selection, governance, and even payroll. The operations and governance of modern companies is hilariously archaic. The underlying governance of companies hasn't changed in hundreds of years. The pinnacle of corporate governance are a bunch of paper documents, bylaws, operating agreements, shareholder agreements. These pieces of paper are only as helpful as the people, verbal promises, and the legal systems behind them. And financial operations use dozens of siloed SaaS tools with disparate databases or require manual entry, frequent conflicts, full of broken APIs, walled gardens of data. Frankly, DAOs aren't a whole lot better. They don't have legitimacy. They aren't viewed with any credibility. They're terrible for day-to-day functionality, and they're just not suitable for most types of organizations. I should know, when I started Constitution DAO, we felt like the organizational structure didn't really match what we were actually trying to do. This is where Mezzanine comes in. And we take the best of DAOs and the best of companies. That is smart contract guarantees, programmatic execution, superior transparency, and combine it with the best of companies. Time-tested governance structures, efficient operations, future of organizations, smart companies. This is an open source operating system for companies built atop interlocking smart contracts that allow for the creation, management, operation of on-chain organizations based entirely off of corporate governance. Of course, we're very excited to build this modularly. As an organization changes over time, we expect their governance structure to change as well. What's needed for an early stage company is very different than that of a late stage company. We expect the capital structure to evolve in the way that they compensate people and manage them. We're building the first interface on top of our set of smart contracts so that we can show people how you can run a modern company. But through our SDK, we can make sure that there's no platform lock-in, allowing for innumerable versions, front ends, and iterations of what it looks like to run and operate a company. Today, the smart contracts can do everything from issuing common shares, preferred shares, allowing you to manage your payroll, pay contractors, and even raise rounds of capital. The governance is embedded directly into it. It emulates that of corporations. The shareholders select the board of directors. The board of directors control the company. They hire and fire executives. They're able to create departments and delegate spending to people in the company. I'm extremely excited about the team that we're putting together. Myself and Dan have been working for about the last 2.5 months on this, and we've got 3 additional engineers who are joining very soon. The 2 of us have a lot of experience in crypto, and Dan, especially on the engineering side, myself through a number of projects.
Awesome job, Graham. Let's go straight into it. First question, what sorts of companies are the best fit for this sort of product right now? And who do you imagine your first 5 users to be?
That's an excellent question. The way that I imagine target users is like very early on, groups that are Web3 development companies that are crypto native, they're on-chain, likely have on-chain revenue, but realize that a DAO structure is too flat, doesn't quite work for them, and they really want to emulate more of a corporate structure. Long term, we'd really love to be able to target any type of digitally native company by providing types of revenue SDK so that anyone building a site, e-commerce, software as a service could be able to pay with crypto and run their entire system on chain.
Someone said, I recently found out that Microsoft switched to doing a lot of its bookkeeping on chain over the last year and is saving hundreds of millions of dollars doing that. Is Mezzanine a similar solution for companies that don't have in-house teams that can build this infrastructure out?
Absolutely. At a mature state, the thing that's really fascinating is being able to create programmatic cash flow statements, income statements. This is tackling an enormous amount of cost and spend for companies, especially as they scale. This goes into tax, audit, bookkeeping, becomes not a arduous matchmaking process of data and trying to rectify things later. This is on-chain queries of queryable, provable, cryptographically certain data.
David Rakusan asks, what is your monetization strategy?
There's a number of approaches that we can take here. And I think that actually emulating some of the best playbooks from traditional, a number of open source companies is probably one of the best models, where There's open source software. People can contribute additional modules, create additional front ends. We ourselves continuing to pioneer, build our front ends, and potentially building out a lot of the infrastructure and framework to mirror what's happening on chain to what's happening in the legal world, where an on-chain action is then triggering that of what's the legal documentation, the legal paperwork that would need to be completed as well.
What stack are you building on, and does a permissioned blockchain approach make more sense here?
Yeah, it's a great question. These are all EVM contracts, so we could deploy to a number of networks, and potentially looking at a permission network that's focused more on compliance and infrastructure that is focused on people who are a little bit more regulatorily involved might make an awful lot of sense. Yes.
And the last question, would Mezzanine be handling all of the DevOps and like handling all the infrastructure for a deployment for a big company?
Yeah. So we're certainly handling an awful lot of the infrastructure. I think we're still defining today where our responsibilities start and the companies actually begin.
Thanks so much, Graham. That was great.